The tale begins in a darkish forest at night, wherein 4 ladies find out a useless deer and determined to look into it one and all. Them Tab does something unusual. She takes out the deer's heart and is amazed to find it nonetheless beating. Seeing this, they understand that greater than 12 deer have died this way. Following this, TBE, looking on the waning moon, senses that something massive is about to show up and indicates they go back to their historic residing location. Subsequent, the scene shifts to a citadel where a pregnant lady is in exertions and a midwife named Natalia is assisting with the delivery. Natalia's granddaughter puts her hand at the woman's belly and notices that the infant appears very unwell and she's involved. It may not continue to exist. This terrifies the pregnant girl and she accuses A and Natalia of being witches. Traumatic, they go away after this. Come upon A and Natalia return to their home covering their faces at home. Adds Brother Valente is unwell. She stalks her issues with Natalia. Approximately the previous incident with the pregnant girl, and the latter attempts to comfort her by way of explaining that some women own historic awareness that men regularly fear. In the meantime, in a faculty in Rome, a trainer teaches his students about the difference among technology and religion. He demanding situations them to investigate the purpose of demise of a man stated to have died because of an evil spirit's assault. One scholar, Petro, examines the person's death and concludes it was because of syphilis, a sickness. The trainer then emphasizes the importance of the usage of clinical understanding to combat witchcraft. Concurrently, a institution of witch hunters known as the Ben and I, led by a person named Sante, put together to seek Natalia. They accept as true was she's a witch accountable for the baby's death. Sensing hazard and knowing that the Ben and Dante are coming for her, Natalia makes a promise to attend to her brother Valente and live collectively. Natalia also makes use of her magical strength to bury her spellbook and instructs A to discover the lost towns if she does not go back later. Just as the Ben and Aunt group arrives outdoor, their domestic, Natalia, willingly confronts them, allowing A and Valente to hide in the house. Inside the next scene, after her grandmother is gone, Avert, determined to locate food for her in poor health brother, leaves their residence and goes searching inside the village. Unfortunately, the villagers deal with her rudely and refuse to assist. She then heads to the nearby wooded area where she meets Petro by means of a river. He's on his way home to his sick mother and Speedy takes a liking to A. Later, Petro arrives in his own village and surprises his sister Chiria. Earlier than traveling his own mom, he then gives his mom a few medication. However, she claims that a witch made her even sicker. Next day, tries to sell her goods on the market to get some food. However, the human beings there apprehend her because the midwife's granddaughter and begin throwing stones at her, believing she's cursed fortuitously. Petro sees what is taking place and intervenes to stop them. After this ordeal, Ad seeks refuge in a church where she reads a notice pointing out that her grandmother Natalia has been discovered responsible of witchcraft and sentenced to dying. The notice additionally mentions that Natalia will be burned alive the following day in the front of all the villagers. Within the following scene, Petro also learns approximately the loss of life sentence and confronts his father Sante, approximately condemning a person to be burned, as A. Sante believes that Natalia prompted their unborn child's demise and positioned a curse on their home. However, Petro insists that there must be a unique clarification for these events, but Sante stays convinced that they want to combat evil. At some point of the nighttime, Petro secretly investigates the infant's demise with the help of his residence helper Sto, and discovers that the baby died due to a problem with the umbilical wire, now not due to witchcraft. On the other hand, in a flashback, A recalls her pregnant mother leaving, telling her to believe the next person who comes through the door, along with her new little brother. The next day, Avert rushes to the church and pleads for Natalia's launch. Petro also arrives with evidence that the child died. Obviously, unfortunately, the priest rejects their claims, insisting that Natalia continues to be a witch and the devil. Unluckily, the gang additionally supports the priest's choice and needs Natalia's death as the crowd cheers for Natalia's loss of life. The four girls we noticed on the beginning are looking and chanting a Latin spell. Natalia repeats the equal words as she starts off evolved to burn, and as she looks up on the sky a storm seems with heavy rain setting out the hearth. However, Sante decided to quit. Things takes out his sword and ends Natalia's existence, stabbing it into her chest. After witnessing her grandmother's demise, A leaves together with her brother, and Petro enables her to break out the scene. Before parting methods, he tells her to fulfill him in the woods close to the fountain in which he's going to be waiting. Meanwhile, Sant informs January Batista about what occurred to the supposed witch, but Jan Batista's spouse tells him it become advert no longer. Natalia, who is the witch, quickly A and Valente controlled to discover the viper's nest engraved in a large rock, as Natalia informed them. With the assist of the necklace her grandmother gave her, opens a mysterious stone door. They then attain a deserted mansion, where they're over again greeted by way of the four women, namely TBE, Nera, Lepus, and Perilis. Inside the subsequent scene, TBE and Nera arrive at a communal grave to gather Natalia's lifeless body. They convey her returned to the ancient residence and phone to appearance at her one final time. To A's wonder, Natalia transforms into her mother, Antalya, and right here she learns that it become her mom who became looking after her and Valente all this time. Meanwhile, Cesar and Sto visit Advert's residence to search for a book that Sant is calling, for they discover it beneath the floorboards, but can't eliminate it from the roots because of a spell solid by way of Antalya for its safety. Additionally, they find some of Valente's ordinary drawings, which might be proof against burning. After locating nothing tremendous, the duo returns home with Valente's abnormal drawings and informs Sante that they cannot burn them. But Petro arrives and proves them wrong with the aid of successful burning the drawings. An awful lot to their wonder, Petro remains decided to expose that witchcraft doesn't exist. However, nobody is prepared to trust in him. Back in the historical dwelling, Type talks to about their harmonious beyond, while they all stay there at the sight of others who had similar abilities. She explains that Antalya, Nera, and Tebe had been the most proficient, and had been the simplest ones taught the way to use the Book of the Kingdoms, which Analia had hidden there. Has been a boy named Marcio who wanted to learn, but their teacher Diotima refused to train him and sent him away. One night time, Marcio sneaked into the room to study the ebook, but turned into caught by using the witch as a disagreement befell, and with Analia's assist, he escaped, but not before by chance killing their trainer Diotima together with his particular powers. TBE mentions that when the tragic occasion, the dwelling was sealed, and Antalya become chosen to protect the ebook. TBE also famous that the ebook mentions the chosen one, a function she believes befits the following day. Nera tries to retrieve the book from Analia's house, but she cannot input because Sante and his men also are there looking for the ebook. Inside the nighttime, Lepus and Tebe talk current events in mattress and get intimate, revealing that they're lesbians and are in love with one another. In the meantime, A and Pies have every other argument, whilst the latter takes Natalia's reminiscence locket lower. Back on the town, Sant talks to the priest who famous that His Eminence, one of the king's close ones, is interested by the book. After Sante demands money and horses, we see the Ben and Dan putting off to search for the following morning. Pies seems fearful by a horse in front of her. Seeing this, saves her and gives consolation for the duration of their conversation. Learns greater approximately Pi lies her beyond, and her connection with Sto also opens up to Prepus and mentions her hobby in Petro. The two fast bond over their shared love hobby. Later, the usage of Paris's telescope sees the fountain turn crimson, the sign Petro promised to meet her with Paris's help. She then leaves the house and tells her that She will go back via nighttime or reveals Petra. Watching for her via the fountain and, without delay, embraces him. They introduce themselves and percentage a kiss, but the moment is interrupted whilst he warns her that she's being hunted. In reaction, A mentions that she's found a secure region, but is cautious about trusting everybody to ease the state of affairs. Petro tells her that he would not trust in witches, but it upsets her, and she or he storms out unsure of her identification again at the ancient constructing after not locating around for some time. The witches inquire with Pepeles and discover that Ad has gone to the fountain. This activates Nera and Lepus to go after her as they're privy to S trying to find her. In the meantime, Avert reaches her vintage residence to retrieve the e-book. She sneaks in her D at the same time as hiding from Sans Man and uses a spell to unfasten the e-book from the roots, but as she leaves with the e-book, one of the Ben and Dad catches her. Thankfully, Nera and Lepus arrive simply in time and a fight breaks out. Lepus is ready to defeat one of the Ben and Ant, but stops whilst she realizes it's a female Chasar. In the course of the altar, Cat